This is the most profound tool that changed my life, okay? And it's called simple reflexive questions. Isn't it, doesn't it, shouldn't it, are simple reflexive questions that you, aren't they? And you add them to the end of a statement that you make. So what's the most powerful tool of human interaction? I'm using it now, aren't I? Can you tell what I'm doing?
Questions.
What am I using?
Questions.
Questions.
Hey everybody, welcome in. Have you ever heard of brain glue? Brain glue? Probably not, but it is something you experience every day, and it can have a great impact on how you live your life. But more importantly, it can be controlled. And those who understand that can get me, you, virtually anyone to do just about anything. Today's guest, James Bond. He's been called a mind-blowing expert on the science of persuasion. He's an author, a speaker, and a master of managing people's behavior. He's been using this as a secret weapon for Fortune 500 companies and for individuals to just help them get what they want. So stay with us, because the next time you're trying to get somebody to do your bidding, you'll be able to dip into the brain glue, and you'll be surprised at how easily they can be persuaded. James, welcome to the show, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Mark, Stacy, you guys are awesome.
Hi,
Lots of fun.
James. So great to have
Thank you for having me.
here. So I've watched a bunch of your interviews, as I was just talking about before we started this. And I think that you and I are very similar. Okay. So we're both salespeople and we both hate sales.
Yes.
But I loved what you said about Zig Ziglar.
Welcome.
Welcome. But I do love what you said about Zig Ziglar's quote, which is, I got to read it, selling is a transference of passion.
Zig Ziglar said something that changed everything for me. Like I went to his actual workshop, which is really fun, my wife and I. And he said, selling is nothing more than transference of passion. When you experience something, like you watch a fabulous movie, nobody has to tell you how to sell it. I had an opportunity to win the anti-drug campaign in America. And I came up, of course, with powerful, logical reasons why you should not do drugs. Don't do it because of this. It affects your health, your family, blah, blah, and all that stuff. And then we lost. And what we lost it to it terrified me. And it was a guy holding an egg saying, this is your brain, cracking the shell and dropping the egg into a sizzling frying pan with exaggerated sizzling sound. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear about what doing drugs does? Okay, last time. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I remember that.
It was profound. And when I saw it, it's two things happened. I recognized this is infinitely more profound than my ad, the ads that I was doing. But it also scared me because this is emotional selling. I have no idea how to do emotional selling. And yet, that's how we persuade people, is through emotion. People buy for, there's science behind it and everything else. But showing that more than 90% of buying decisions, including financial buying decisions, are emotionally triggered. Well, after 10 years, a little over 10 years, we moved to Southern California, and I met John Gray. And John Gray was telling me about his incredible book. If anybody knows who John Gray is, I'm going to fool you because it's not what you think it is, okay? His book was called Men, Women, and Relationships. And he was frustrated because he said, people read my book. He was telling me this. People read my book and they tell me this is the most profound book on relationships I've ever read. This is changing my life and my relationships and everything else. And yet almost nobody's buying the book. So he's telling me he was at a seminar, and he said something, and all the women in the audience laughed like crazy, and the men looked at the women like, what's so funny that you're laughing at? And he said, and so one of the women, he said, so there are certain things that women laugh at that men don't laugh at. There are certain things that men laugh at that women don't laugh at. And there are certain things that we all laugh at. And so one of the women says in the audience, it's almost like men are from a different planet. What planet do you think men are from? And he said, I guess men are from Mars. And everybody laughed. So when he got home, he's thinking, gee, think about emotional selling. People aren't buying my book if I said men are from Mars, and where are women from? I guess women are from Venus. Venus is the god of love, of course. Okay. So what if I change the title to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and then just put some references to it throughout the book, but still keep the same book, okay? But just put some references to Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus throughout the book. So what do you think happened?
Sold the hell out of it. Yeah.
Almost overnight, 500,000 copies got sold, then 1 million, then 2 million. And I discovered that metaphors is one of 14 brain triggers at the heart of emotional selling.
Huh.
I thought my brain was going to explode if I just figured out something that nobody else has figured out. And so, of course, I was a consultant, and I would actually work with lots of clients, and behavioral management and stuff like that. And so I got to apply it on clients. I remember the first client I worked with, actually it was the second. The first client I worked with was a bank, and they referred me to this construction company with these 3 guys who, after 10 years, had $2 million of sales. That sounds not bad, eh? $2 million of sales after 10 years? Ha ha ha! I can say now. In 1 year, I took it from 2 to 10 million in sales, and 2 years later, they reached 32 million in sales.
Wow.
By applying this, and I was like, "This is freaky."
So hold on. Let me take a step back. So why don't you define brain glue as you define it? Because I think that is a good example of it.
Yeah.
For the audience.
So, there are certain things that stick to the brain like glue. Okay, if I said Jack and Jill went up the
hill.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And everybody I bet who's listening is saying hill. Uh-huh. We all know that. So when I started to understand the different tools of brain glue and started applying, 2 things happen. And everybody who reads the book says the same thing to me. One is they start applying it to what they're doing, which is really cool. But they also start recognizing blockbuster products and services out there. And they go, that's why it's successful.
Right.
Like one of the tools is alliteration, a repetition of sound. When I started studying that, it was like, Coca-Cola, Best Buy, blah, 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 Bed Bath & Beyond, Biden's Build Back Better,
Gurus and game changers.
Yeah, there you go.
It sticks to the brain. It sticks to the brain. We tend to remember it.
How are people doing it in real life, though, in their everyday, not the business side? How can we be more persuasive using brain glue?
One of the tools is called anchoring, where you're going to take something that exists already and apply it to something else. So Bobby Flay is a famous chef, and he was on the Food Network, and they wanted to create a show for him, and he needed to come up with a name for the show. And so he said, well, I want to do grilling because grilling is really good. So I need to come up with a phrase that's really cool. Okay. And so he said, grill, it sounds like girl. Oh, boy meets girl. Why don't I call it boy meets grill? That became a monster of success. Okay. Because he anchored it to something that people already know.
Yeah, so anchoring, maybe alliteration, metaphor. What are some of the other, I think you said there were 14 of them?
Yeah, there are 14 of them. So one of them is called chiasmus, CHIASMUS, okay? Chiasmus. And it's really fascinating. Chiasmus is a flip. So rhyme is da-da-da-da. It rhymes, okay? Chiasmus is a flip. All for one and one for all.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. My wife hates if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
Right.
Okay. She hates that.
Does she hate that one?
Don't even say that. Don't ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Huh. Yeah,
okay.
It's very
Malcolm
memorable.
X, the black civil rights leader, who was fabulous. He loved the chiasmus. He said, "We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock landed on us."
Yeah.
He also said, which a lot of people don't realize he said this, when you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of great examples of that out there, for sure. And they're all very sticky, for sure,
amazing.
Right? They stick right to your brain. What's another one?
One of them is set the right expectation. Okay?
Also.
If you're going to say something to somebody and you think there might be a little criticism, then let them know up front, hey, this is going to be a little, you might not like the beginning of it, but just give me 2 minutes to describe this.
Interesting.
And then once I describe this, I think that you'll understand what I'm trying to say. But so don't get mad, even though I'm about to tell you this or whatever else it is. Okay. Muhammad Ali was famous for "I am the greatest." Muhammad Ali had this great line. He said, great explanation. He said, "I would tell people I am the greatest, and you know who it had the greatest effect on? Me.
Yeah.
Because if I'm telling everybody I'm the greatest and I'm not, then they're going to start laughing at me and criticizing me and whatever else. So I better be the greatest. But he used the phrase, I am the greatest almost all the time. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to understand that you want to set the expectation when you're talking to somebody or if you're trying to sell something. And so that's really powerful.
Can you do all these things separately, or do you have to do it all together to really make it brain glue? Like you could just do one of these 14 things, or there's combinations you have to do?
So how about Rocky Road Ice Cream uses 3 of them, okay? Rocky Road was started by Dreyer's Ice Cream at the Great Depression, way before our lives. So the first thing they called it is Rocky Road Ice Cream. And it's chocolate ice cream with nuts and marshmallows, but it's bumpy like a rocky road. So they called it Rocky Road. They actually stole the name from somebody else. That's a whole other story. No. So Rocky Road uses alliteration or repetition of sound also. But the third thing it uses is humor. And humor is a brain glue tool also, okay? And so here's the humor that they used. The Great Depression was called Rocky Road. We're all on a rocky road. So they said, we're all on a rocky road anyway. We might as well have Rocky Road ice cream.
What's the most brain sticky ad you've ever seen? Like, what's the one that just blew you away? Was it the egg one, or like what?
No, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, tell me what.
So a mom and son watched Shark Tank, which a lot of people do, and got inspired and said, that would be really cool if we can invent a product and get on Shark Tank. We'd become millionaires and it looks like fun people and all that stuff. Okay, so, when you get an idea like that, it usually doesn't happen like that. It takes a while. You have to think about it, okay? So it took about a month. And the mom was constipated, had a real constipation problem. And so the doctor said, if you can raise your feet like 6 to 8 inches off the floor when you're on the toilet, it actually helps the shape of your body and you can actually go to the bathroom easier. So they went, oh, okay. And then they were thinking, hey, that would actually be a cool, because it worked. Okay, it worked really well. She said, this would be a cool product for us to sell. And we'll make it like wrap around the toilet. So so anyone who sits on a toilet, doesn't have to use it. But if you want to, you just slide it out and you put your feet on it. Okay, it works that way. They found a manufacturer that was willing to manufacture it for them, and they figured out the price and everything else. But they needed a name. So the first name that we came up with, you always start logical, okay, was toilet stool. Okay, my wife said they should have called it the stool, but I'm not sure that would work. So
the stool.
Okay? Yeah. But so the toilet stool. But the mom was saying, I don't like the word toilet in it. What are other words for toilet? Okay, synonyms are very helpful. Okay, and so she was thinking of it. She said potty. Okay, potty, and I'm kind of squatty potty.
Yeah, squatty
Let's
potty.
call it the squatty potty.
Very
squatty potty sales exploded. This is a mom and son with no business experience that have over $100 million of sales. Yeah. There are trigger words. That's another one of the tools. Is trigger words. Okay. I work with Warren Buffett's team. And Warren Buffett, when he was like on his way to becoming the world's richest man, and they would bring me in because I'm a behavioral management specialist. And I love Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett loves a lot of trigger words and these types of tools, okay? I'm not sure he read my book, but he still uses these tools. And he has this tool that he says, only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Mm. What he's basically saying is only when times get tough, you realize who's capable and competent, okay? But if you say that, people go, oh. But if you said only when times get tough, you discover who's been swimming naked, It's like, what?
That's memorable.
How can I be more persuasive? What tools do I have at my disposal?
So I have a friend who's got a closed mind. He's narrow-minded, okay? And I'm trying to tell him to have an open mind. So if I said, Joseph, you got to have an open mind, he would basically say, shut up, go away, whatever else. So I picked a metaphor. So open. What else works when it's open? An umbrella works when it's open. A parachute works when it's open. A book works when it's open. If you buy a book and you don't open it, you're not getting anything out of it, okay? So I used parachute, and I said, hey, Joseph, do you realize your mind is just like a parachute? It works better when it's open? And he paused and he went, why, you think I have a closed mind? I said, no, I'm not saying that, but doesn't a parachute work better when it's open? Don't you think your mind would work better when it's open too? And it made it easier for us to have that discussion.
Where does listening fit into all this? Because I think, no one wants to be talked at. So how can you use listening as a tool?
Okay, I'm going to give you the most power. To me, this is the most profound tool that changed my life. Okay. And it's called simple reflexive questions. Isn't it, doesn't it, shouldn't it, are simple reflexive questions aren't they? And you add them to the end of a statement that you make. So what's the most powerful tool of human interaction? I'm using it now, aren't I? Can you tell what I'm doing?
Questions.
What am I using?
Questions.
Questions. Okay. With simple reflexive questions, There you go. With simple reflexive questions, what you do is you wire it into how you talk.
Didn't you like almost name your book the wrong name? Didn't someone have to help you name your book? Tell that story.
Almost.
Yeah.
My book had 3 names, okay? 3 different names. This is the 3rd one.
Love it.
My title was Sell More with the Right Brain Marketing Strategy.
Oh my goodness.
So I met Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. He sold 500 million Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
How did you meet him?
All the different books.
How did you meet him?
Oh, he's amazing. He's absolutely amazing.
I want him on the show because you're the second person talking about him. He's got to be on the show. Jack Canfield.
Oh, you
call
got
me.
to get him and
Yeah.
promote him because he's promoting the success principle. So that's where he's
okay.
But he was pissed off. I'm talking to him and he said, "You pissed me off." I said, "I'm really sorry." He said, "I picked up your book. I couldn't put the damn thing down." I'm like, "I'm sorry. Can I get that quote?"
Yeah, right.
You know?
I put that
I'm apologizing.
inside my
but
book jacket.
Can I record this? I go, be trying to record it, you know. And he says, "I'll give you all the promotions you want. You can use. I'll do recording with you. I'll give you all kinds of stuff on one condition." He said, "I'm buying copies of my book for everybody who works for me, and I'm requiring them not just to read it, but to start applying those tools. Okay, I'll give you all the quotes you want on one condition. You got to change the title."
Oh.
I said, "What?" I had like 100 reviews already. He's like, "Oh, I have to start from scratch." He said, "Yes, you got to. The whole book is about brain glue. You're trying to teach us, right brain selling, and you got a logical. You're trying to teach us emotional selling. You've got a logical title.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. You need to change the title." I said, "Do I have to?" "Yes." So I changed the title. So we went through 3 titles, and now it's brain glue, which is what the whole book is about. Brain glue.
Yeah, it's smart.
Summarize the heart of the book, right? The heart of. So if I were to ask you this question, just give me the answer, a good summary for you. What is the secret to effective, powerful presentation?
Grabbing somebody's attention and triggering the decision-making parts of their brain.
It's that simple, but it's simple, but it's not easy, right? Or maybe
It's actually easier than most people think.
For you.
That's why they love the book. What can I say?
Right.
But I mean, because this is one of those things. It's so obvious,
right?
And yet we're not trained to recognize it. We recognize, the brain recognizes it, but our conscious mind doesn't recognize it. If the gloves don't fit, you must have quit. If the glove doesn't fit, you have to quit. How many of us heard that and went, "Okay, it rhymed. Okay, yeah, he was using rhyme. That's interesting." We didn't go, "He's using rhyme. We know that works." Like squatty potty rhymes, like, all the different things that rhyme.
Right.
It's just, it takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And it's Timex watches. Timex dominated the watch industry for a large part of the 20th century because of rhyme.
Yeah.
Hey, we know these things, but we don't think, well, that's a tool. I can use that when I'm trying to talk my kids into something.
Yeah. There's so many examples of that in advertising, for sure.
So good.
Oh, it's amazing. Once you recognize it, you start seeing it all over the place.
Yeah.
In successes.
Yeah.
Rarely do you see it in failures.
So
it's amazing.
Obvious, but yet I haven't. Well, thank you for bringing this to.
We're gonna put brain glue on our Gurus and Game Changer shelf for sure.
And James Bond is sort of sticky too, don't you think? As
that's
sticky. That's sort of brain glue, no?
And I think that's why I came up with brain glue because, I was born after the books, before the movies.
Got it.
And so my wife and I were walking through, there was a church nearby. We were walking through the yard of the church, just walking, and a man and woman came out and had a dog. He says, "I'm Joe and she's Mary." I think that's what their names are. I can't remember. And I said, "Yeah, I'm James and this is Pam." Okay. And they went, "Okay, fine." So would they remember my name? Maybe, maybe not. But I paused for a second. I said, "Actually, my name is James Bond." They both started laughing. You think every time I walk through the thing, he's going to know my name?
For sure.
Absolutely. Because there's something about James Bond that sticks to their brain.
Of course.
People say, "Did you change your name?" I say, "Yeah, it used to be Fred Flintstone, but that didn't work." So I changed it.
I love it. Oh my God, this time is.
But I think that's probably what got me thinking. In the back of my mind, subconsciously, I recognize, this is interesting. I go in, I'll go into a restaurant and my kids will say, "Dad, we need your license." I said, "Why?" It's because I don't believe it's James Bond that the table's for.
I thought they meant license to kill. I'm like, what do your kids need a license to kill for?
Oh my God, this has been such. This time has just flown by. I can't believe it. But so tell me, what's next for you, and how can we help you get there? You write another book? Like, what's going on in your world Mr. James Bond.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to share this with as many people as possible. I actually have this website called Sticky Sells More. It used to be called Stinky Sells More, but I didn't like that. But Sticky sells more. It's just helping people understand sticky, stickiness. I've got a video program I created because people are fascinated by it. And I say more here than we're going to say in the book. The book's fabulous. I mean, I'm not saying that other people, I've got tons. Take a look at the reviews. If you go to Amazon, you can just see the really, really fabulous reviews. I don't think I have any negative reviews, which is kind of cool.
Knock on wood.
Now that I say it, I'm going to get them.
Knock on
No,
wood.
you won't. No, it's
knock
good
on
stuff.
wood. That's right.
That's awesome.
You're lucky. You got wood right there. but yes, brainglue.com has a video program, and it's just got short videos that take you through each one, exercises through each one of the triggers. And it's just really fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yes, brainglue.com. That's
brainglue.com. Brainglue.com. Pick up the book on Amazon or anywhere else, just Amazon, right? Brainglue.com.
Yeah.
Brainglue. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome. I actually can't wait to see the other.
You guys, Mark, Stacy, you guys are just so, what a fabulous show. Like I said, I was almost late coming on because I was sitting and listening to some of the other shows that you have. You guys are just awesome.
Thank you.
And I think you have an advantage over others because of the two of you. So you have two different personalities.
He's talking to me.
Working
That's
on
cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That's nice of you to say. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us, for sure.